All right, let's dive in. Today, we're heading all the way to Cambodia
Ooh, Cambodia.
to explore something I bet a lot of people don't even know exists there.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Dolphins. In Cambodia.
Wow, I have to admit I didn't even know that was a thing.
Right. And not just any dolphins.
Oh.
These are the Irrawaddy dolphins of Cradie.
Irrawaddy dolphin.
Yeah. And they live in the Mekong River.
Oh, not in the river. I thought.
I know, right? You think river dolphins? But
yeah.
these guys, well, our sources describe them as oceanic dolphins that adapted to freshwater.
So not like true river dolphins.
Exactly. They're not like the Amazon or Ganges River dolphins. Those are different.
Fascinating.
Yeah, these Irrawaddy dolphins, they started out in the ocean, like you'd expect,
Okay.
and they gradually moved into brackish water, that mix of fresh and salt water.
Oh, I see.
And over time, some populations ended up in totally freshwater places like the Mekong.
Wow, that's incredible. So they're kind of in-betweeners then.
Totally. Not quite ocean dolphins, not quite river dolphins.
Like the teenagers of the dolphin world.
Uh-huh. Exactly.
Yeah.
And speaking of appearances, they've got this really unique look.
Oh.
Yeah, they're smaller than your typical, bottlenose dolphin.
Oh, yeah?
They got these rounded heads and almost no beak, just a stubby little nose.
Huh, I can picture that. Kind of cute.
Oh, super cute.
Mhm.
I saw a picture. They're this slate gray color,
Oh, nice.
like a dolphin wearing a wetsuit. Haha.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, these guys are facing some really serious threats.
Oh, that's sad to hear. What kind of threats?
Well, they're considered critically endangered.
Critically endangered.
Yeah, less than 100 are left in the Mekong.
Wow, that's really dire.
It is, and it's part of why Cradie becoming a popular tourist spot for seeing the dolphins is, well, a mixed bag.
Makes sense. Tourism can be good or bad depending on how it's done.
Exactly. It can raise awareness, bring in money for conservation, but it can also, put more pressure on the dolphins if it's not done responsibly.
A delicate balance.
Yeah, for sure. And one of the biggest threats mentioned in our research is fishing practices.
Fishing? How so?
Gill nets, mostly those big nets that span across the river.
I've seen those.
They can easily entangle dolphins, and that can lead to drowning.
Ah, that's awful.
And then there's blast fishing, which sadly is still happening in Cambodia.
Blast fishing.
Yeah, they use explosives to kill or stun fish. It's outlawed in Laos, but still going on in Cambodia.
That sounds incredibly destructive for everything, not just the dolphins.
Oh, absolutely. It's like an underwater earthquake.
And on top of that, there's the always present threats of habitat loss and climate change.
Right, and I think it's worth digging into those a bit because they're, kind of these big looming concepts.
Definitely. I think people hear those terms a lot, but might not understand the direct link to, say, the Irrawaddy dolphins.
Totally. So how does deforestation and development along the Mekong, how does that directly impact the dolphins?
Well, first off, it reduces their available habitat, plain and simple, less space for them to live.
Okay, makes sense.
And it also messes with their migration patterns, how they move around the river.
Right.
And then climate change comes in and just throws more chaos into the mix
Oh, so?
by altering water levels and temperatures.
Ah, I see. So their food source is affected.
Exactly. Those changes impact the fish populations, which are what the dolphins rely on.
So it's this domino effect.
Yeah, the environment changes, their food source changes, and their chances of survival go down.
Makes the problems like gill nets and blast fishing even more urgent, right?
Absolutely. It's a lot for these dolphins to deal with.
It does paint a rather grim picture, so I'm really hoping our sources also highlight some of the efforts being made to, help these dolphins.
Well, there's some good news. Organizations like the WWF and the Cambodian Mekong Dolphin Conservation Project are actively working on this.
That's good to hear. What are they doing specifically?
Well, the WWF, for example, they've been really pushing for dolphin-safe fishing gear.
What does that look like?
Like gill nets designed to reduce entanglements.
Oh, interesting.
They're also doing a lot of research and monitoring, tracking dolphin populations, trying to understand their behavior.
So they're gathering all this data to better protect them.
Exactly. It's not just about science, though.
Oh.
They're also working closely with local communities, raising awareness about the dolphins.
That's so important, getting the people who live and work on the river involved.
It's crucial. They're the ones who can make a real lasting difference.
Absolutely. And what about tourism? I mean, we talked about how it can be a double-edged sword.
Right. So in Cradie, there are basically 3 main ways to see the dolphins.
Lay it on me.
You can go independently, hire a boat, head out on the river, cheapest option.
Okay, makes sense.
Then there's organized boat tours, pricier, but essentially the same as going solo.
Gotcha. And then there's... Wait, let me guess. Kayaking.
You got it. Kayaking is becoming the most ethical way to see them.
Oh, now that's interesting. Why kayaking over the other options?
Well, kayaks are way quieter, less disruptive than those motorboats.
Sure.
You're closer to the water, you get a more intimate view, no loud engine noises.
Plus, you're getting some exercise, taking in the scenery.
Exactly. It's a much more immersive and respectful experience.
Instead of just being a spectator on a boat, you're actually, part of the environment.
Right. And in a way, it mirrors the dolphin's journey from ocean to river.
Ooh, I like that.
That slower, more deliberate way of experiencing the world.
It's a beautiful way to put it. But before we get too lost in kayaking daydreams, I think we should talk about, responsible dolphin tourism in general.
Oh, you're absolutely right. There's definitely a right way and a wrong way to do this, even with kayaks.
So what should people keep in mind? What should they look for in a good tour operator, whether it's kayaking or on a boat?
Most important is to choose operators who prioritize the dolphins, not just their profits.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, maintaining a respectful distance, avoiding chasing the dolphins, keeping noise levels down.
So it's not just about ticking a box and saying, I saw a dolphin, right? It's about learning about them.
Exactly. Understanding their role in the ecosystem, being a responsible observer.
Yeah, fostering that sense of respect, not just a fleeting thrill.
Well said. And speaking of thrills, I actually came across some good news while researching for this deep dive.
Oh. Tell me more.
This year, 2024, Crady saw a record-high birth rate for the Irrawaddy dolphins. 9 new calves.
9 new babies. That's incredible.
It is. It gives us hope, shows that with the right efforts, these dolphins can bounce back.
But I'm sure it's not all sunshine and rainbows. There must still be challenges.
Unfortunately, yes. The same source that mentioned the births also reported a sad incident.
Oh, no.
An adolescent female dolphin died, entangled in fishing nets.
Oh, that's heartbreaking.
It is a reminder that even with the good news, the threats are still very real.
We can celebrate the victories, but not forget the fight that's still going on.
Exactly. It's a bittersweet reality.
It is, okay, while researching, I came across something that just blew my mind.
Oh.
These dolphins, they have a history of cooperative fishing with humans.
Wait, what? Really?
Yeah, it's this incredible example of, interspecies collaboration.
That's amazing. I've never heard of that. Tell me more.
So, in parts of Myanmar, fishermen have this long tradition of working with Irrawaddy dolphins to catch fish.
Wow.
They use these acoustic signals, tapping on their boats, slapping the water.
To communicate with the dolphins.
Yeah, to attract them.
And the dolphins actually respond.
They do.
Yeah.
And then the dolphins, they herd schools of fish towards the fishermen's nets.
So everyone benefits. The dolphins get an easy meal, the fishermen get a bigger catch.
Exactly. It's this amazing example of mutualism, two species helping each other out.
Wow, that highlights how intelligent these dolphins are, their social complexity.
Right. They understand teamwork, they get that working together brings greater rewards.
And there are even stories of fishermen claiming ownership of specific dolphins that helped them.
It's that's my dolphin, he's my fishing buddy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like something out of a legend.
It really is, but it makes you wonder, if these dolphins are so smart, so adaptable, why are they still struggling to survive?
It's a good question, It shows that even intelligence has its limits when facing the pressures of human activities.
It's like they're playing a game where the rules keep changing and the odds are stacked against them.
That's a great way to put it.
And, speaking of things stacked against them, one threat I hadn't really considered before this deep dive was noise pollution.
Oh, yeah. That's becoming a bigger and bigger problem.
How big of an issue is it for these dolphins?
Well, you got to remember, dolphins rely heavily on sound for pretty much everything.
Right. Communication, navigation.
Hunting, too. And if their world is constantly filled with boat engine noise.
I can imagine that's got to be disruptive.
Incredibly. Imagine trying to hold a conversation at a rock concert.
Yeah, good luck with that.
You might hear something, but it's distorted, hard to understand.
And for dolphins, it's not just annoying. It's affecting their ability to live.
Exactly. It can mask important sounds, make it harder to find food, avoid danger.
So we're basically shrinking their world by bombarding them with noise.
That's a powerful way to put it, and it's something we need to be more aware of.
So what can we do about it? Is there hope for a quieter future for these dolphins?
There are some promising things happening, like some tour operators switching to quieter electric motors for their boats.
Okay, that's a good start. What else?
Well, there are also people working on propeller designs that minimize noise.
So even the shape of a propeller can make a difference.
It can. Every little bit helps. And of course, educating tourists about noise pollution is key.
So they can make informed choices about which tours to support.
Exactly. It's all about responsible tourism.
And what about those quiet zones we talked about earlier? Designating areas where motorized boats are restricted.
Oh, that's a great idea. Giving the dolphins those havens of peace.
It's like giving them a break from all the human chatter.
And not just noise reduction, but also less traffic, less habitat disruption.
So they can be dolphins, live their lives the way they're supposed to.
Precisely.
What's really striking me throughout this deep dive is this theme of collaboration.
Oh.
The dolphins working with fishermen, scientists working with local communities. It seems like teamwork is, essential for their survival.
Absolutely. The future of these dolphins depends on all of us working together.
So what does that look like? What can our listeners do, even if they're not planning a trip to Cambodia anytime soon?
Well, staying informed is a great first step.
Learn about the dolphins, the threats they face.
Exactly. And share that knowledge with others. Spread the word.
Because knowledge is power. Right.
It is. And if you are planning a trip to Crete, choose your tour operators carefully.
Do your research. Support the ones doing things the right way.
Yes. And even if you're not traveling there, supporting organizations working to protect the dolphins can make a difference.
Even small donations add up.
They do. And finally, be an advocate for these dolphins. Talk about them. Share their story.
Use your voice to speak for those who can't speak for themselves.
Exactly.
I came into this deep dive feeling a bit worried about the future of these dolphins.
I understand.
But I'm leaving with this sense of, cautious optimism, I guess you could call it.
That's what we strive for, to inform, to inspire, and to empower.
Well said. So listeners, keep exploring, keep learning, keep taking action.
The fate of the Irrawaddy dolphins and so many other species rests in our hands.
Let's choose wisely.
Let's make some noise for silence.
That's a wrap on part 1 of our Irrawaddy Dolphin Deep Dive. We'll be back soon with more, so stay tuned.
And it's not just about, staying far enough away. A good operator should also be able to teach people about dolphin behavior.
So they understand what they're seeing, what's normal, what's not.
Exactly. It's about fostering that connection, that respect, not just, oh, I snapped a photo for Instagram and that's it.
Right. It's got to be more than that, And speaking of Instagram, I was scrolling through some photos of these dolphins while prepping for this deep dive.
Ooh, getting into the research?
Yeah, and it got me thinking, we talked about how these dolphins have adapted to fresh water.
Right, that whole ocean to river journey.
But what about their, physical adaptations? Have they changed physically to survive in the river?
Oh, absolutely. They've got some pretty neat tricks up their flippers, I guess you could say.
Okay, I'm all ears. What kind of tricks?
Well, one thing is their body shape. It's more streamlined and flexible than their ocean-dwelling cousins.
Makes sense. Got to navigate those sometimes narrow river channels.
Exactly. And their flippers, they're broader and more paddle-like.
Oh, interesting.
Helps them maneuver in the slower-moving, murkier river water.
So they're like the ultimate river cruising machine.
Haha, yeah. Built for those Mekong adventures.
Love it. Okay, back to the threats for a sec, because I know we touched on fishing practices.
Gill nets, blast fishing. Yeah.
But what about, the actual fishermen themselves? Are they aware of the problem? Are they doing anything to help?
Well, it's a complex issue. There's definitely a mix of opinions and levels of awareness.
I can imagine it's their livelihood we're talking about.
Right, and in some communities, there's this traditional view of the dolphins as competitors for fish.
So they see them as a threat to their income.
Yeah, but then in other communities, there's more of a sense of respect for the dolphins, even a spiritual connection in some cases.
Oh, wow. That's fascinating. So it really varies depending on the community.
It does, and that's where those conservation organizations we talked about, they play a key role.
By bridging that gap, educating the fishermen.
Exactly, helping them understand the importance of the dolphins, the role they play in the ecosystem.
And showing them that protecting the dolphins can actually benefit them in the long run.
Right, because a healthy river means a healthy fish population, which ultimately means a more sustainable livelihood for the fishermen.
So it's not about demonizing the fishermen. It's about working together to find solutions that benefit everyone.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Okay, I want to shift gears a bit and talk about something that really piqued my curiosity during the research.
Yeah.
These dolphins, they have a special talent. It's almost like a superpower.
Oh, okay. Now I'm really intrigued. A dolphin's superpower.
It's their ability to use echolocation.
Echolocation, like bats.
Exactly. They emit these sound waves,
Okay.
and those waves bounce back off objects in the water, giving them a sonic map of their surroundings.
Wow, that's so cool. So they can see even in murky river water.
Exactly. They can find fish, navigate obstacles, all using sound.
It's like they have built-in sonar.
Uh-huh. Yeah. It's incredible. And it makes me wonder, with all the noise pollution we're introducing into the river,
Okay, the boat engines, all that.
is that messing with their echolocation?
It could be, Think about it. If you're trying to listen for a faint sound, and then suddenly there's this loud noise.
You're not going to hear it.
Right. And for the dolphins, that faint sound could be the echo of a fish or a warning signal of danger.
So it's not just about, them being annoyed by the noise. It's potentially life-threatening.
Exactly. Noise pollution can have serious consequences for their survival.
Wow, that's pretty sobering.
It is. It makes you realize how much we need to pay attention to the impacts of our actions, even the seemingly small ones.
Because those small actions can have big consequences.
They can, especially in a fragile ecosystem like the Mekong River.
Okay, well, on a slightly lighter note,
Yeah.
I came across something else interesting while researching.
Oh, I'm all for a little lightness.
Did you know these dolphins, they shed their skin?
Wait, dolphins shed skin like snakes?
Not quite like snakes,
Oh, okay, good.
but they do shed their outer layer of skin, and they do it quite frequently, actually.
Why so often?
Well, it helps them maintain their sleek, streamlined body shape.
Makes sense. Got to stay hydrodynamic in the water.
Exactly. And it also helps them get rid of, parasites and algae that might be clinging to their skin.
So it's like a built-in cleaning system.
Uh-huh, yeah. They're constantly renewing themselves. Pretty cool, huh?
That is pretty cool. And it makes you wonder, does that shedding process, does it get affected by, say, water pollution?
Oh, that's a good question. I didn't see anything specific about that in our sources, but it's definitely something to think about.
Yeah, because if the water quality is poor, if there are, chemicals and toxins in the water.
It could interfere with that natural process.
Right, and potentially harm the dolphins' health.
Another reminder of how everything is connected.
Exactly. The health of the river, the health of the dolphins, it's all intertwined.
And we as humans, we have a responsibility to protect that delicate balance.
Absolutely. We've got to be mindful of our impact and work towards solutions that benefit both people and nature.
Well said. I think we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive so far.
We have. From fishing practices to dolphin superpowers to skin shedding.
We've learned a lot about these fascinating creatures.
And the challenges they face.
But we're not done yet. We've got one more part to go, and I'm really looking forward to exploring some potential solutions and reasons for hope.
Me too. There's still so much to discover.
So stick around, folks, because we're diving even deeper into the world of the Irrawaddy dolphins. All right, welcome back to our Irrawaddy Dolphin Deep Dive. We've explored their world, their adaptations, and the daunting threats they're up against.
It's been quite a journey.
It has. But now I'm really eager to shift our focus to, what can be done, what are the solutions, where's the hope?
Okay, I like that. Because it's easy to get, a little overwhelmed by the problem.
Oh, absolutely. But I think it's crucial to remember that conservation, it's not just about protecting one species in isolation.
Right, it's bigger than that.
It's about preserving the entire ecosystem.
The whole web of life.
Exactly. And one of our sources used this really cool metaphor.
Oh.
They described the Mekong River as a symphony of sounds.
Oh, I remember that. That's a beautiful image.
Isn't it? You have the flow of the water, the calls of birds, the clicks and whistles of the dolphins.
It's all connected, this intricate soundscape.
And then we come in with our, motorboats and all that.
And it's like suddenly someone's playing a bunch of off-key instruments.
Right. That delicate balance is disrupted.
And remember, for the dolphins, sound isn't just about communication, it's how they see.
Right. Echolocation.
Exactly. So all that noise, it's not just annoying, it's like blinding them.
Wow, I hadn't thought of it like that before.
It makes you realize just how crucial it is to turn down the volume.
So how do we do that? What are the concrete steps to mitigate this noise pollution?
Well, we talked about quieter engines, like electric motors.
Those seem promising.
They are. And some tour operators are already making the switch, which is fantastic.
And it benefits everyone, right? Quieter experience for the dolphins and for the tourists, too.
Exactly. Plus, there are people working on propeller designs that minimize noise.
Wow. So even the shape of a propeller can make a difference.
It can. Every little detail matters. And of course, educating tourists about this, encouraging them to choose those quieter tours.
It all comes back to responsible tourism, doesn't it?
It really does. Making conscious choices, understanding our impact.
And what about those quiet zones we mentioned before? Those areas where motorboats are restricted?
Oh, those are a great idea. Giving the dolphins those safe havens.
Well, they can just be dolphins, free from all that human noise.
Exactly. And not just noise reduction, but less traffic, less habitat disruption in those zones.
It's like giving them a chance to breathe.
To thrive.
Throughout this deep dive, I've been really struck by this theme of collaboration, of partnership.
Oh.
The dolphins working with the fishermen, the scientists working with local communities. It feels like that's the key to their survival.
It's true. The future of the Irrawaddy dolphins, it depends on all of us working together.
So what does that look like for, our listeners? What can they do, even if they're not planning a trip to Cambodia anytime soon?
Well, first and foremost, staying informed.
Learning about these dolphins, the threats they face.
Exactly. And then sharing that knowledge, talking about it with friends, family.
Because awareness is the first step, right?
It is. And if you are planning a trip to Craty, do your research. Choose those responsible tour operators.
The ones who are putting the dolphins first?
Yes. And even if you're not traveling there, supporting those conservation organizations, even a small donation,
can make a huge difference.
It can. And don't underestimate the power of your voice. Talk to your elected officials, advocate for these dolphins.
Speak up for those who can't speak for themselves.
Exactly.
I have to admit, coming into this, I was a bit worried.
Understandable.
But I'm leaving with this sense of hope, this belief that we can make a difference.
That's what we aim for, to inspire, to empower, to give people that hope.
And you've definitely achieved that. So to our listeners, keep exploring, keep learning, and most importantly, keep taking action.
Because the fate of these amazing creatures, it really is in our hands.
Let's choose wisely. Let's make some noise for silence.
I love that.
That wraps up our Irrawaddy Dolphin Deep Dive. Thank you for joining us on this journey. We'll see you next time.